Welcome to the World of Gamer Zone. I'm Meredith O'Donnell.
And I'm Davis Sickman. Today we're going to be going over a new segment called Game Tech, which is where we kind of get a little bit into some of the stuff we've talked about in the news and have mentioned in other reviews just a little bit further. Like this one, for instance, is going to be on Steam, and we've mentioned Steam dozens of times already. We'll also be hitting the next Breaking into Games segment and picking up on our work in progress, which is we're tracking a game as it's being developed. First up, we're going to get into a little bit of news. We mentioned before that Peter Jackson is going to be doing the Halo movie, which is kind of cool. Peter Jackson, known for Lord of the Rings and King Kong, and then some really, really bad movies before that, like Bad Taste. Well, oddly enough, now he's getting into games. Him and Fran Walsh actually did the Lord of the Rings scripts, and they're going to be doing
King Kong.
And King Kong, yeah. And they're going to be doing games based off of. They're writing the scripts for games based off of the Halo universe. This isn't the next sequel to Halo, which Halo 3 supposedly is supposed to be kind of the end of the Halo story arc.
So they're using the Halo world, coming up with another arc.
Yeah, I guess so. Which I thought was kind of interesting. They hadn't mentioned before that these guys were getting into games or anything, so it was kind of interesting that it just seemed to boom, and they're picking on what is one of the biggest titles for the Xbox and the Xbox 360. So I'm kind of curious to see how that turns out.
Well, games are turning into movies, and movie stars are coming into games, and kind of getting this mixture going on right now.
Yeah, well, I really hope that this does better than some of the games that have been turned into movies, and some of the movies that have been turned into games. And
well, yeah.
Yeah. Now, it also has been mentioned that Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh are also going to be doing yet another original game, but nobody's released any information on it yet.
Yeah.
No
Teaser.
idea. Yeah, pretty much.
It's a teaser, okay.
So
we've got Halo Wars coming out as well, the RTS.
Yep. Which is kind of weird. It actually takes place before Halo 1 does.
I have to admit, I didn't play any of the Halo stuff. My husband went through the whole thing, loved it, but I was never a big Halo fan.
Halo and Halo 2 I've played all the way through the single player portion of it. Halo 2, if you get online and do multiplayer, I kind of suck at it. But
and they have contests.
Well, GamerZone's had a couple of tournaments that we did with another company here locally. There's plenty of people that still have tournaments for Halo and Halo 2.
There's going to be some pretty excited people then.
Yep. And so we've got Halo 3 coming. We've got something from Peter Jackson, we don't know what, that's set in the Halo universe. And now a real-time strategy game based off of Halo, which takes place before the Halo games actually take place. However, unlike Halo 2, where you played both the good guys and the bad guys, essentially, they haven't revealed enough about this yet to say what you're going to...
So, we'll wait for more info.
As usual.
iPod's got game. They've come out with about nine games.
Yeah.
You can download them. They're $5 each. I don't really get playing a game on a tiny little screen. That seems to lose something for me, but they're popular. I mean,
the Nintendo
they make
DS
lots of money.
And PSP, they've sold tons of them. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of the portable game market to start with, though I have seriously considered buying a Nintendo DS simply because it has new Super Mario Brothers on it, which looks absolutely cool. But I'll be honest, if I could get new Super Mario Brothers for the Wii instead, I would. I wouldn't even worry about the DS.
Definitely.
GamePro went through and did reviews.
Reviewed all of them.
Yep. Now, these are only $5 games. They're cheap, so it's not like you're throwing away $40 if you decide you didn't like it.
Something to do, I guess. Taking a plane ride, you can play a few games.
Yep. And since how many people are carrying around iPods these days?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Kind of popular.
Yeah, just a little popular, yeah. Now, I got to say that this is only the Generation 5 iPods. It's the most current ones get to do it. The older ones, well, you're kind of SOL. But...
well, Microsoft will not be outdone.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So they're coming out with the Zoom.
Zune.
Zune?
Zune.
Z-U-N-E. I don't even know what that means. Where'd they come up with that?
I have no idea. What is a Zune anyways?
I don't know. Some kind of a... some kind of an exotic bird. I don't know. But, of course, you know, they have to answer the call. They have to be just as good. So they're going to come out with their own version of the iPod.
Yeah.
But now, have they actually said that they're going to get into the games as well?
They haven't said anything yet about that, though it's not a hard stretch considering they already own a console system. And, of course, plenty of Windows games have shipped over the years. That it's not much of a stretch to see them, if Apple is reaching out in that market, they're going to have to. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
They copy everything Apple does from the interface all the way up.
We sound like we're just slightly biased.
Maybe. Apple also, at the same time, while they introduced games for the iPod, they also introduced something they codenamed iTV. iTV, what it is, it's a little box that sits on top of your TV, and thus they call it a set-top box. And basically, you can pull videos from the internet, you can pull streaming media. The iTunes movie store is there to buy movies from Disney and to buy episodes of TV.
Right, there's several stores like that now that you can rent a movie. You know, you download it. I don't know how long it stays. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but this is really kind of interesting. Well, I've always thought that it was just too much of a pain to hook up my computer to the TV so that I could see something big screen, and it sounded cool, but I didn't want to go through the work. So now just to have a box on there that's all hooked up, and you see something cool, you see some trailer you want to see, but you want to see it in a bigger screen, you just turn on your TV and watch it. I think that's going to be really good. And since we are, gaming.
Yeah, because there's a reason we're mentioning this. we don't just usually go off on a tangent. Well,
yes, we do.
but in particular, a lot of industry analysts are saying...
One more step.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
If they're shipping games for the iPod, well, wouldn't be any big stretch to see games for the iTV when it comes out. The iTV will be out sometime early to mid 2007. And it's only $300. I mean, this is... price-wise, it rivals an Xbox 360 very easily.
Now, I would like to see, for that $300, I would like to see DVR capability.
Yeah, I don't think that they're actually doing. I don't think they're going to take on TiVo with it. From what they've released so far, they really gave no indication that they're going to do that.
I'm just saying, I would like to see that. I think that would be great.
It would be, and honestly,
they're doing all-in-one iPod. They could do all-in-one,
TV machine. Yeah, I agree with you. So,
okay, so we've got Apple going on TV. So now we have MTV going to games.
Yep.
They bought
Harmonix.
Guitar Hero.
Yep. See, Harmonix is the guys that wrote Guitar Hero, and Red Octane, who was bought real recently by Activision, was the guys that published Guitar Hero. So both the publisher and the authors have been bought out.
It's kind of popular.
Maybe just a little, yeah. It's a good match for MTV, though, and it could be a good match for gamers. Mm-hmm. Good match for MTV because, in theory, MTV is in the business of showing of interactive music and showing music videos.
And they're trying to branch out. I mean, they have branched out.
In fact, actually, I think they've gotten a little bit away from it now.
I think it's all entertainment. They just want to find every entertainment genre and
exploit it. Yeah.
Yeah, stick the foot in there somewhere.
Yeah, and it's a good choice for gamers, possibly, depending on how MTV plays their cards here.
They used to know. They used to know bands and different artists because they would come on the show. I don't know if you remember that, but they may be able to make some connections there, get some more songs on Guitar Hero.
Yes, I remember MTV all the way back to when it was Friday Night Videos.
I do too.
Yep. Oh my
That's
God,
not,
we're old.
We shouldn't have really said that, huh?
But the point is they've got all these connections. They shouldn't have a problem licensing it, so we could see yet even more cool stuff for Guitar Hero. Speaking of cool stuff for Guitar Hero, I mentioned that Activision had bought Red Octane, who was the publisher. Well, Activision has come out and said that it's going to be that Guitar Hero is going to be on every significant new platform. That's a direct quote. That means we'll probably see Guitar Hero for the 360, for the PS3, for the Nintendo Wii. Who knows, you might even see some sort of weird, strange variant for the DS, the Nintendo DS and the PSP, but good luck with that.
Possible. I'm not sure.
I don't know, maybe just hit the buttons for it instead. You
Well,
would kind of miss something without the
no,
guitar,
it's
though.
Guitar Hero. You got to have a guitar.
I agree with you. But it has been confirmed that we're going to have Guitar Hero for the 360. So it's before we had mentioned that it was rumored. Well, now we know it is coming for the 360. This makes me happy because if MTV's got all this licensing pool they can work from, Activision's bringing it to the 360, and the 360's got the marketplace. We have like the ultimate killer setup for Guitar Hero.
I wonder if they're not going to have like music video now instead of, how you have right now with Guitar Hero, you've got, the animated guy and...
I kind of hope they dodge doing that, truthfully.
It'll be a little too commercial.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And
But we are talking MTV, so we'll see.
yeah, the Shiny Things Network.
Yeah.
And with that insult, we're probably going to call it good with the news.
And we'll be right back after we pay some bills. Welcome back to the world of GamerZone.
Well, one of the interesting little tidbits is that I could be a new co-host. Meredith's so addicted to WoW that she spends all of her time doing that and none of the time prepping for the show.
I have no time to play anything.
Actually, the truth is that lately she's been busy with her day job and with a new business and a number of other things that realistically she's having a hard time keeping up with the show, and so am I. So we're just kind of curious with that we mentioned out there in case anybody's interested. We're looking for another co-host. Preferably, I would like to have another female co-host simply because I like to have the contrast in opinions. Don't want a couple of hardcore gamers sitting here that all have the same opinion.
Nobody wants that.
No. It's boring then. So anyways, if you happen to be in the area, in the Wichita area obviously, and you're interested in doing something like this, give us a holler. It's area code 316-869-0369. There's not any particular qualifications or requirements. You gotta like games, I suppose. That's about it.
Well, I'm still here now, so why don't we talk about the game tech?
That's right. Well, we're starting essentially a new little segment called Game Tech. We keep mentioning a lot of stuff on the show. For instance, today's is on Steam. We've mentioned Steam a dozen times easily, but we have never explained what Steam is. We're not going to review it because it's not a game.
Right.
So what Game Tech is, it gives us the opportunity to tell you about things that are related to games, but not necessarily the games themselves. And today's, as I mentioned, is on Steam. Here's the first thing is, what is Steam? Steam's a content delivery system. Basically, it's a way of downloading games. That's a simplified way of saying it.
Sure.
Truth is that you're buying them online. In fact, if you go out to the store and you buy a new copy of Half-Life 2, it'll come with Steam built into it. This allows a couple of interesting things. One, the publisher gets the opportunity to update the game easily after you've purchased it if you have internet access. That is one obvious requirement of it. If it's downloading stuff from the internet, you've got to have internet access.
Funny how that works, yeah.
Yeah. Now, as for how it works, basically they present you with a whole list of games. Steam has kind of a simplified interface. It's literally just a list of all of these games that you have, how much they cost, or whether or not they're a free download, or whether or not you already own it, whether it needs to be updated, things like that. It gives you a nice way of doing that. It also has some game trailers and some game-related movies and things like
A
that.
little bit. That's more for the commercial side of it, just to kind
Yeah.
of get you interested in what's coming next.
Of course, Team Fortress 2. That's where we saw the first bit of trailer for it was off of the Steam channel. So there's some use to it, and it does give you, for instance,
It's not overbearing, though. It's just, there are some little demos in there. There
Yep.
are some little trailers in there. They don't hit you over the head with, look what we have, look what we have, look what we have.
yeah. When you first get into it, it'll have a page that shows a couple of little ads. Hey, this is what we're coming up soon, like, for instance, Dark Messiah, or this is the stuff that was just released. It's not, and as she pointed, it's not overbearing. I like the way they did it. You click on the My Games tab, that comes up with the list of all the games. You click on a game, and away you go. If you don't own the game, you have to go through the purchase process then. Goes through the initial download, and I'll warn you, some of these games take a long time to download. Big products, so
The demo for Dark Messiah took a while
yeah.
to download. I can't. That's going to be an overnight thing. I'll just I'll turn it on. I'll start downloading and play it the next day if I can wait that long.
You'll have to wait that
I
long. It's not
know.
like you have a choice at that
I
point.
know.
The other thing is, if the publisher releases an update, it's right there. Next time you go to pop on the game, it'll update it. That's great, except for the next time you want to play the game and
You
it's
wanted
updating.
to play it.
You've got to wait
Right
for it.
then.
Yeah.
There's not a cancel on that?
Especially not for the online games. Let's say if you play Counter-Strike, one of the games offered through there, you've got to update it. If you don't update, you can't play on any of the servers. Unluckily. But the truth is that the servers are updating at the same time, so you would be out of sync with them. So it makes a certain amount of sense.
So one of the advantages that I can see is it's kind of like buying a condo. It's your place. It's all yours, but somebody else is taking care of the lawn, and somebody else is trimming the trees, and somebody else is cleaning up the sidewalks. You don't have to worry about that. It's just done. Is there anything that needs to be fixed? Is there a patch? You don't have to worry about it. Somebody else is going to take care of that for you.
I have one beef with them, though. Okay, so I'm not getting a real CD. In fact, there's no way to burn a CD. It's not like iTunes where you download some tunes and you go, I want a permanent copy of that off on my shelf. There is no way to do that. When you download a game, you've downloaded it, and that's the only way you can get it is via download. If something happens and your machine gets reformatted, something like that, you log back in and it will re-download it for you. That's great. But why am I not saving any money? They're not shipping a box. They're not shipping, physical media of any sort to me. It should be cheaper to do it this way than it is to go down and buy it. But oddly enough, like Half-Life 2 Episode 1 is the same price online as it is to go out and get it at the store.
But don't you get it first?
I suppose.
Do you know how many people? Do you know how many people pay extra money just to be first?
That's true. That's true. But I'm not a first person. I
True.
understand that you will be first in line for Dark Messiah. I will not.
I'm frugal too, though. If we didn't happen to have, because of GamerZone, happen to have the business account that just has all the games that come down, I would buy it, and I probably am going to buy it because I want it.
When we were first looking at it, she made a comment that Steam was pretty much a one-trick pony. Everything on there was for hardcore gamers.
We even thought about talking about it on this show, and that was one of my complaints, and it just happened to be, I think they have my house rigged or something. I don't know, because I said one trick pony. It's shoot 'em up and guns and there's a lot of testosterone going on in most of those games.
It was very hardcore gamer oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And then they licensed the entire PopCap Games series.
Yeah.
Not
Zuma
not that I minded at all, because Rocket Mania is one of my favorite PopCap games. I also like Zuma a lot. So they quit being just one narrow focus. They've kind of seemed to have branched out a little bit, and I think this is really cool to see because now with a larger base of games, and now Dark Messiah coming,
Very excited about that one.
and some independent titles out there and things like that, they've gotten away from the narrow focus of just the stuff that Valve produces and just hardcore games to having a much broader focus, and or I guess broader unfocus. It's pretty cool, and it gives more people a reason to take a look at it.
I've spent a lot more time in Steam than I was doing before because there just wasn't anything I wanted in there.
Yep. How many hours of Talismania have you already played?
I like that game. It's kind of fun. I don't know. And then Typer Shark, which is you learn how to type.
Yep.
I mean, that's even, dare I say, educational on Steam.
Wow.
It's incidental. I mean, it's a PopCap game that just kind of came through.
Yeah.
But still, it gives just a little bit more variety on there.
Yep. So then giving this sort of diversity, I think is great. I hate anything that's so narrow focused anyways. So
Well, you can download Steam off of the Valve
from
site.
steampowered.com. That's right.
So anybody can go out there and
Get a hold of it and look through to see what you can download and all that good stuff.
check it out, see what you think.
Now we continue our Breaking into Games segment. We've covered the hobbyist developers, and we've covered quite a bit about the independent developers. Now we go on to the professional developers because, well, some people don't think you're a game dev unless you're working for Activision, Red Octane, any number of these huge guys. So here's the first question. What is it you want to do? Game development in general has a ton of different roles. If you're an independent developer, you do almost all of them yourself. But in game development for professionals, you pick an area of specialty, and that's what you work with. For instance, like working with sound, well, you're going to be a sound guy. If you like level design, well, you're a level designer.
These are basically the people that you would need to hire to do a project if you were an independent gamer or a game developer.
Exactly. Now, some people say, well, what I really want to do is design games. You're funny. Because the reality is there's not a whole lot of game designers that can come out of college and instantly become a game designer. You're going to get your experience somewhere else. Game developers, as in the programmers, are going to pick up their experience in college or doing it themselves or as a programmer for a different area. For instance, it's not too uncommon for you to be a programmer in something in a totally different field and eventually become a programmer in game development. If you can show, and I've said this before, if you can show a commitment and ability to finish projects, you've got a much better shot as a game programmer. As a game designer, you're going to work in other fields. You're going to work in other sections. You're not going to come out of college and immediately become Will Wright, who's doing Spore, or any of these number of guys that are famous for the works that they've done. Instead, you're going to have to find some other niche that you get to fill for a while. And then you're going to have to prove that you have concepts and ideas that you can build on and that a team can build and that will be commercially viable and successful. Publishers don't care if you can design a game. Anybody can design a game. A pen, a paper, and you sit down and you come up with a concept. The truth is, unless you can come up with a successful concept, if you can come up with the next Mario, you got it made. When it comes to graphic design, well, you can go out and get yourself a copy of Maya or any number of these utilities that are frequently used in game development, but that doesn't necessarily always teach you all of the tools and tricks that you need to know. You can make incredibly gorgeous models, basically the in-game characters that you see, that are totally unusable in a game because they have too many polygons, because they don't have all the right articulation for the arm to move, for things like that. There are a number of courses from places like DigiPen, places like the Denver Institute for Art, DIA, probably the premier place to go in the United States for art development. Places like these will teach you the trade and tool tricks that you need to know. You can learn them on your own. And if you do, there's plenty of online tutorials, there's plenty of online materials to do it, but you're going to have to actually do it and practice it. Then comes the part of mod work, because if you work with a mod team and create models for them, you get the experience you need without having to shell out a couple $1,000s a semester for DigiPen or $10,000 a semester up at DIA. So there's a number of options you can do that you can learn it yourself, but work with others while you're doing it.
Okay, well, when you did your projects, how did you find the people that helped you?
Actually, for like the Boulder Panic for the puzzle games, that was simple. I did most of it myself. But on the 3D stuff that I've worked with, actually, I found an existing community to go hang around in, found developers there, and found art guys and everything else that were already hanging around in that existing community. In this case, I tended to hang around the Garage Games community. Garage Games actually produces the engine that we're using for our work in progress game.
So there are niches that places that people can go
Yes.
to network.
Yeah. Garage Games is a great example. Gama Sutra is another place to hang out. There's a lot of online places that are game community related, as in from the developer point of view. And that's a good place to connect with enough people to put together a team, or a good place to learn from others. The Garage Games forums, for instance, has entire sections just on narrow focused bits of programming that if you don't know that segment, right there's where you go to learn it. Mm-hmm. And we'll pick this up again for our next Breaking into Games segment. We got one more thing before we exit the show. Last episode we forgot to do our work in progress. Work in progress, for those who haven't been following, we're following a game that we're developing here in-house. This week, all we did is we found out that didn't like a couple of little things that the Torque 2D engine was doing. Rewrote them. Now we have our little blocks of color displayed on screen. Ooh, magic. Okay, so it's nothing impressive yet. But this is, well, game development as it goes in stages. And that's it for the show today. If you got any questions, be sure to hit the website at worldofgamerzone.com.
And thanks for watching World of Gamer Zone.